we could kind of start off with some Boruto content. Get Kidomaki's thoughts about chapter 13 of rating, get a rating in there or something like that. So, what was your thoughts, Kidomaki?
I think it was good. It's the type of chapter I've been waiting for. Something that gives us
Mm,
some lore information. The timeline stuff is really interesting. Although it's not new to me because I already predicted it. So I have a video. You guys can go check it out. But yeah, the timeline, time travel stuff with different versions of the timeline that didn't occur, but could have occurred and all that lovely stuff. I'm a fan of the Flash character, so time travel is something that I really love seeing in media. If it's done right. So we'll see how it works in Boruto
For
because
sure.
it's not like they really went into it. It's kind of just like, this happened. So we'll see what happens there. But the chapter was good. The new Ten Tails, Shinju, I think that's what we're calling them, is interesting.
yeah,
Although I think some like misdirection took place in the last panel there. I
Me
don't think the
too.
last panel is the Shinki Shinju. So
Me
yeah, a
too.
lot
Me and
of
the Walkie
interesting
Talkie
stuff.
podcast was talking about that as well. I think that's a misdirect because he saw several different timelines.
Why would you keep it off panel in the last panel to show mystery when we already saw it? Unless it's not the Shinki Shinju. So I think that's a given, but we'll see. But yeah, everything we got some new information. Apparently Delta has Shibai cells. We'll
King
see.
Delta all day.
And yeah. And then yeah, everything else. It was a really good chapter. So when it comes to rating, I don't know what to do. Typically, uh, let's say I had zero problems with the chapter, so I'm gonna give it a 10.
Contention time, okay. Think that this is a multiverse.
No,
Why
no, I
not?
don't think
Because
so.
I do believe it's a multiverse. What's your reasoning, if you care to give it?
Yeah, if yeah, it depends on how you interpret the universe basically. Because when it comes to time travel and timelines and multiverse, it depends on who's writing the story. So the multiverse in Marvel is different from the multiverse in DC. The multiverse in DC, when I say DC, I'm referring to the comics, is different from the multiverse displayed in the Flash movie that was recently released.
Yeah.
So each writer they take liberties with what the multiverse is. So the Marvel one, you go into the past, you make changes, and when you do that, you create an alternate timeline. So
Right.
you get parallel Earths, right? So it's that gives you a multiverse per se.
Mm-hmm.
But in DC, when you go back into the past, it uses the closed loop theory instead. So if you make changes to the past, you don't create an alternate timeline. You just update the current timeline in the future. So it depends on who's writing. So in Boruto's case, it hasn't been indicated which one they're working with, but when going back to the time slip arc, when they went back to the past, they didn't make any changes, but they imply that if they did, it would affect the future of the timeline. So it implies that they're using the closed loop theory instead of the alternate Earth theory, right? And the same thing with the Thunder Train stuff. Boruto mentioned it, then Denki's father in the future mentions that he heard it from a kid in the past, which is Boruto.
Mm-hmm.
So the closed loop theory, it seems like that's what they're using in Boruto. Now, when it comes to the future timelines and stuff, I think when working off the basis of which version of time travel and timelines they're working with in Boruto so far, I think it kind of more so points to them not using the alternate Earth theory. So when Kashin Koji says that he's seeing future realities, the keyword there being possible futures, they're not futures that are running like parallel to the current timeline. They don't technically exist in a sense. They're not physically manifested universes that exist and they're thriving. They're possible futures, and
Mm-hmm.
the path taken by Boruto in the present will determine which one of those possible futures becomes reality. So that's why it says we can't afford for the worst possible future to become reality, because it isn't reality at this point in time. That's why I think it's more so possible futures instead of a multiverse.
Yeah, because I disagree with that. I think it's definitely a multiverse. So number one, by definition, right? So you look up multiverse, it says and this is courtesies of Oxford. I can give one for the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the Britannica, and some other sources as well, just to have multiple sources. But essentially, a multiverse is a term that describes the collection or set of all possible universes that exist or can exist. And then also, we have one for Oxford, an infinite realm of being, infinite being one of the key words you want to hone in on from the chapter, or potential being, of which the universe is regarded as part of or instance. And then for the Britannica, a multiverse is a hypothetical being a keyword you want to hone in on, collection of potentially diverse universes that are not accessible to each other. So potential, that one comes in as well. So when you get into the chapter, and you get into like the description of what Koji is saying that he sees with prescience, it says, which is the name of the ability, it says the ability to see all possible futures. And it's pretty straightforward when he describes this.
That's kind of proving what Kiddo said though, because it's all possible timelines, so it's not a multiverse. So one thing happens, then
I wasn't finished.
Oh,
so I already gave you multiple definitions for the multiverse, which all includes the potential being of a universe. Not just the one that is currently existing, but one that can exist, or of a possible universe.
Yeah, basically, I was about to say, Freegan was saying possibly, but possibly and potential, it's like basically the same thing in this context, right?
Correct, and it's baked into the definition of multiverse from multiple different sources that are credible. So by definition, it's a multiverse.
No,
well, not necessarily. The context. So the context of those statements is not science fiction, but more so reality based. So when they're saying these are possible, it's in the context of this is not proven. These are possible universes that may or may not exist. Right. So it's in the context of real life scientists trying to determine if there is actually a multiverse. But in the context of a fictional universe where
so the multiverse is like a is theoretical, which I already know Kiddo knows, but so when we talk about the Boruto multiverse, when I talk about the Boruto multiverse, there are the definition, by definition, it's a multiverse, like I said before. I'm curious to see what Kiddo Maki had to say before he cut out. I'm not really sure. But I can't really continue down that line until he gets back. But again, one of the consistent themes of the definition of multiverse is an infinite realm, which is mentioned by Koji, infinite possible futures. And then we also see potential or possible, which Barra said. Yeah, sorry, can you continue what you were saying?
Yeah, so what I was saying is that the definitions you were mentioning is taking into account the real life science of the multiverse and whether or not it exists and the possible Earths exist. It's not in the context of fiction where these things are indeed possible. That's I think the context of the definitions you're reading is a bit different. What I mean is that
I wouldn't even say it's different. I think that what he's reading is spot on. It's just that like the grandpa paradox, like it's impossible to go back in the past and change a certain future. So he's given different timelines. Like if you did this, then this will occur. If you don't do this, then this will occur. So like he's seeing the different possible timelines, and he's trying to go forward to the best possible timeline that he's seen. Because he said like a certain amount of timelines, he saw a Boruto die or somebody die or some tragic happen. So I'm guessing probably one or two timelines he saw something that he could possibly do to make that possible timeline accurate or come into fruition. Sorry.
For okay, so I thought the definition would be like the simplest way to do that, since it's kind of like a one-to-one logic that I think tracks. But I'll just tell you like my interpretation of the chapter, and then maybe we can go from there. So when he says, I think the crux of like the issue with it is like the whole narrative's getting snuffed out based on which multi-forked, yeah. So how I break that down in simple terms is that timelines get snuffed out based on the choices you make. Is there like an agreement with that in like a simplistic form?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, exactly.
Get on bar. You guys, yeah, okay. So my thing is, I kind of subscribe to like block time theory, that all time always exists, always. If something happens in the past, it doesn't cease to exist. And I think the series kind of confirms that, because you can view the past still through Ada Senrigan. Ada's ability to view the past, it's not the past, it's her past from someone else's perspective, depending on where they are relative to the timeline. It'll be their future or their present. So if there's an infinite amount of futures, of possible futures, depending on your perspective on the timeline, then that must mean that the future is, well, fixed. Because if Koji is ahead on the timeline, I drew all this out on one of my streams, but if Koji's like, it's like a line, a dot at the top, dot in the middle, and dot at the bottom. If Koji's at the top, or Koji's in the middle, he's viewing the future at the top, and you're at the bottom of Koji, at the very bottom. Koji's present would be your future, and his future would be like your far future. So to me, this confirms that the past, present, and future always exists, and in order for something to get snuffed out, it has to exist to begin with, which would be based on like choices that you make. And I subscribe to, if it's an infinite possible futures, then, well, this is another thing. I don't want to like kind of gish gallop, but is there any like contention with that?
Well, I was pretty much about to glaze Mello's point right real quick, because with me, I don't really know fully what a metaverse is or the multiverse. I never really watched the Spider-Man movie, so me coming from like a brand point of view.
Oh my god, what do you live under? Are you Patrick Star, bro? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, he's under a rock, bro.
Under a rock. Yeah, pretty much. From a movie standpoint, yeah. That's why I kind of went on that binge with Marvel movies a couple years ago. But regardless, yeah. So just off the definition that Mello read, it kind of matches a lot with that one. I don't necessarily know a lot of or all of them, but specifically the last one that he did read, that sounded like pretty much 1-to-1 almost.
It's the issue with it is that the context of the definition that Mello is using is not in the context of fiction.
Then how are you applying any definition to anything fictional?
When it comes to the multiverse, there are different like types. So like the definition Mello is using is just one definition. So even if you go on like life science and dare I say Wikipedia,
what? Sorry, it's not one. I gave you multiple definitions from.
No, it's just sources. No. When I said one, I mean just one version of it. So a multiverse is like a hypothetical set of universes. Together, these universes are presumed to comprise of everything that exists. So matter, space, time, all of that lovely stuff. This could be parallel universes, multiple universes, alternate universes, plane universes. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're hypothetical in the sense that they are possible futures that don't exist. That's not what they mean. They mean hypothetical in the sense that it is a theory that the multiverse itself exists. So the context of the definitions Mello is reading is in the context of a hypothesis of the multiverse existing in real life. That's why they say possible multiverses, not in the sense that these are possible futures as indicated in Boruto's chapter, but more so in the scientific sense in real life, that this is not a proven concept. It is possible that there is a multiverse, and it is possible that there are multiple different universes and infinite Earths. So that's the context of the same. So that's what I meant when I said the context is different.
Wait, so that doesn't change anything for me though, because I agree with that. Like, but the concept of multiverse has a definition, right? Regardless of if it's based on a theoretical. Yeah, but the base content, but that's the thing. The definitions you read isn't the base concept of a multiverse. Wait. Sorry, real quick. Do you agree that it is a concept? Like this is a version of how you can define multiverse?
No, what I mean, no, not necessarily. And let me explain why. It's not a version of the multiverse. So if you break down the sentence you just read, I remember it fully. but the context of a sentence is including the hypothesis of the multiverse existing. It's not just defining a multiverse. So if you go to a definition of what a multiverse is, it is just a set of universes that are different versions of the current universe. That's the base interpretation of what a multiverse is. When they add that this is an hypothetical universe, or it's possible universes, it's in the context that this is not a proven theory in science. So it is possible that this exists, not that these are possible futures, as how Boruto stated it in the chapter. So in Boruto's
do you think it's possible to prove a multiverse exists?
I mean, that's what they're trying to do in science.
Like right now, like is there any science or literature or a peer-reviewed study that says the multiverse exists now? Like it does exist?
No, no, they can't. That's why when in that context of the statement you read, that's why they use possible, because it's not a proven theory. So it's
right.
It's
so
possible.
Wait,
that
so
they exist.
So okay, so I don't think. Okay, so in since the multiverse is not confirmed to exist, which I agree with, but it is a concept that they're trying to describe. They're trying to describe the concept, and the concept itself is based upon a theory, right? So within the description of this theoretical concept, they're providing theoretical descriptions, or not theoretical, but like possible things that could happen because it doesn't exist. My point is, I don't think you can define a hypothetical concept without having a hypothetical description or something that can be applied hypothetically to the hypothetical concept. That's why I'm confused, because it sounds like you think the metaverse is a thing that's tangible and real and that's been proven, but my definition, the version of my definition, is only taken into consideration like something theoretical.
No, actually, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that it doesn't exist.
If that's true, then we agree.
No, we agree that it doesn't exist. What we don't agree on is the interpretation of the definition that you provided. What I'm saying is that yes, the multiverse does exist, but the definition you provided isn't stating just what a multiverse is. It's also stating that the multiverse is possible, that it's not proven, which is why they use possible. But
can I just give you the definition again? Because I think maybe you don't like remember what I said. Because like it says, a multiverse is a term that describes the collection or set of all possible universes that exist or can exist.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Or can exist.
Okay, so the multiverse is a theoretical theory, and then it's a term that describes these concepts. So this is the descriptor with the theoretical theory.
Yeah, but the key word is theory though, so it's not proven.
No. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to prove if the multiverse is real. I'm saying the multiverse is a concept that exists with a set definitions that has and I'm providing you with multiple different sources that I believe are credible. Now, if you want to argue the credibility of my sources, Oxford, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the Britannica, if you want to question my sources, then you can. But I'm saying
quiet man.
No, we don't need to question sources. It's like even if you like